Hi friends, welcome back. This year we are visiting the ghost of Christmas past, and we are traveling to Christmas of 2020 to visit Brooke of 2020, who decided she would make an entire gingerbread village for the first time, having never made any gingerbread in her life before. This can't go well for her. Spoiler alert, it goes okay. But 2021 Brooke has a lot to say about this, and I am going to look back on this footage with you and give you all of my lessons that I learned and set you up for success so you don't have to make the same mistakes that I made. So without further ado, let's get into it. Somebody is coming to pick up this table that I am sitting at, that I have my entire setup at, and they're coming to buy it from Facebook Marketplace. And I'm so sad to see this go, but it's just too big for this space. But when you see me again, I might be in a different location. Don't be alarmed. I'm gonna try and be very nice to 2020 Brooke because she was having a really hard time. I was doing this as like an attempt to distract myself and stay busy and feel Christmassy. You'll see. Today, oh my gosh. I feel like it's just very clear that I'm hanging on by a thread. Today we are making gingerbread houses, and I am using Christine McConnell's gingerbread recipe, so I'm pretty confident that this is going to turn out at least adequate. Her recipe is very good, and it did turn out really well. I think I added a little bit of cornstarch to it, and I'm pretty sure it's not in the original recipe, but I am going to put that below. I have to look back on it, and I will share her recipe, and I am going to be doing another gingerbread video this year with all the knowledge that I'm equipped with, and it will probably have a slightly tweaked new recipe, so you can decide which one you want to use based on what you see in these two videos. I'm gonna make the gingerbread dough, and I think we have to let it chill, and then let's get into it. Let's get into it. So, like I said, you can find the ingredients listed below, but I am basically creaming my butter. Once it is light and fluffy, I am going to add the sugar, then the molasses, and then the dry ingredients will be sifted in. My mom started this tradition of smelling the vanilla. I don't know if anybody else does this, but even if I wasn't baking with her, she would bring the bottle of Blue Ribbon vanilla into my bedroom or wherever I was so I could smell the vanilla. Every time you open the vanilla, you have to smell it. And so I still do it. The imitation vanilla smells so much better than real vanilla, but use real vanilla when you bake. I also didn't feel like her gingerbread had enough flavor. It wasn't very cinnamony. So I think I added an extra 2 teaspoons of cinnamon and a tiny bit more vanilla extract. Okay, so before we start cutting our dough, we want to make a template. And I'm going to make a little village, so I think I'm going to make a couple different templates, and then this will be like our pattern. I would like to make one big kind of greenhouse Christmas gingerbread house. Those are a lot of unnecessary extra words. One big greenhouse gingerbread house. One large gingerbread greenhouse. There it is. So I'm just gonna go on these lines. This will be, I guess, the width. Let's just say where this fold is right now. That's where the top is gonna be, right? But this is going to come to a point. So we just have to get the halfway point here. I think that should be the halfway point. So then I think we should just need to line up our sides. And that should be it. I hope that was not too hot. I'm gonna use this as a cutting base. I think the trick is not to push down too hard, but just to do a few gentle swipes. So then did it work? Did it work? It worked. This is pretty big, actually. It's basically going to be this is the side, and this is the roof. This will be my bigger one. I'm not overwhelmed at this point, so that's good. Thickness. I think we're there. And the center is like the thickest. I think you really want to go from the middle out, otherwise your ends end up being a little bit too thin. They make rolling pins where you can adjust the thickness so that you don't have to be so careful when you are rolling everything out to make sure that it is exactly the same thickness. It has wheels, so it prevents you from pushing down too hard. And I would recommend it. I mean, I think all of my pieces turned out about the same thickness, but it's just a little bit more efficient, and if that's not your strong suit, then it would be a very useful tool to have. It's important that everything is the same thickness because when it bakes in the oven, you don't want like burnt edges and then like a soft middle. I think it's worth it to cut out pieces of parchment. Like maybe once you roll it and cut your piece, cut that parchment out around it and just leave it on there, because you'll see when I pick up the piece, it kind of, this dough is so soft, it stretches and then I have to recut it and they're very hard to move. So once you have it cut, just cut that parchment paper out and leave it on that parchment paper and then transfer that to the tray. The other thing is that when they bake, they will expand slightly, and some pieces may expand more than others, or they may expand in different directions. So I didn't do this, but after you bake them, it is worth it to put that template back on your gingerbread and kind of saw out those parts of the cookie that expanded past the border. Okay, let's talk about royal icing. This is a big one. I have so many things to say about royal icing. I got this tip from Amy on Instagram. She is Constellation Inspiration. She's a baker. She has a cookbook, and she makes some really beautiful gingerbread houses. And last year, she gave this tip to the world, and I'm giving it to you, and that is to decorate your pieces laying flat, which, duh. Why didn't we think about that? But I think it's because as kids, we put them together and then we just like slop things on. So you just kind of think like, I'm gonna decorate it this way. But that doesn't make sense because your icing will drip, and why would you decorate something vertically? So once everything is baked, have it, lay it out and then decorate it while it's laying down. And then all you have to do is assemble it later once it's all dry, and then you can add whatever else you want to add. So that's tip number one, and it's a really good one. Okay, tip number 2, your icing consistency is very important. This icing that I'm using here, you can see it's like super runny, and that is what you would call a flood consistency. That would be like used to fill in a big, it's meant to like puddle out and become smooth and silky. For a gingerbread house, I kind of highly recommend making everything a little bit thick, making it a liner consistency like I am using here. All of the white icing was liner consistency, and for a gingerbread you're just really doing a lot of detail work, and so you need a liner. The green turned into like a cute little blobby pattern, but I would have liked it to kind of keep its shape a little bit more, and the way that you achieve that is just by not adding too much water. Literally 1 tablespoon too much will turn your liner consistency into a flood consistency. I also feel like more is more on a gingerbread house, because like last year I was really going for classic gingerbread look. So I added little white like snowflakes, and I had these stars left over from I threw my friend a baby shower. So I just put everything that would go on here. This year I'm doing something different. It's probably going to be a little bit more, I don't know how to explain it. It's going to be good. Wait, stick around. I think I'm going to tell you at the end, and then you guys have to vote. Yeah, you have to vote and tell me which one you want me to make more. Okay. Christmas cookies, day 2. So I stayed up way too late, and this has been so much more work than I expected it to be, but it's also very fun, and I am officially done baking gingerbread houses. I've decorated some of them. I'm about to do the Isomalt, which is like a liquid sugar to do windows, and then I'm gonna finish. Whew, I'm out of breath. Isomalt is a sugar substitute. It's a type of sugar alcohol. So it dries very clear, which is why I ordered this instead of just making candy glass out of sugar. Apparently this is easier to work with as well. You just have to heat it up. You don't have to add any water, and it melts into a like water-like consistency. She's wrong, and let me tell you why. Brooke of 2020 thinks that she got a different kind of Isomalt. There are 2 different kinds, and the kind that has already been cooked can be microwaved and reheated, and it's supposedly very easy to work with. The kind that she got is the raw crystals, and it's much more difficult. I didn't know what I was doing, and spoiler alert, is not going to turn out well for her. Okay, let's see. Okay, so ignore my messy kitchen. I just want to show you the process of the Isomalt. We're going to do this together, and before I do that, I want to make sure that I have all of my cookies lined up ready for the pour. So let me get that ready. One of my sides actually broke, and I've glued it all together with some frosting, so hopefully I don't totally destroy it, but I have to move it onto this baking sheet. I did it. Okay, so it's this one. Can you see? It's this one right here. This one broke, and I thought I didn't like how it looked, so I just started doing the wreath, the garland around it, and it's always the case that, like, I think when you don't care about something or you think it's gonna be like the mess up one, it ends up being really good. So now I'm trying to salvage it because it turned out great, and then I ended up putting garland on everything else. This is kind of interesting. It looks like powdered sugar, like old powdered sugar that's kind of clumped up. Apparently we just put it in here and heat it up. In a very clean non-stick pot, add a 1/4 cup distilled water to every cup of raw Isomalt. There's no instructions on here. The kind that is raw still needs to be cooked to the proper temperature. Okay, so I think that's what I have. So I'm adding a 1/4 cup to a cup of crystals. And then apparently we're just supposed to boil it on medium-high heat, do not stir. Take the lid off and simmer uncovered until the temperature reaches 320 degrees Fahrenheit. This can take up to an hour. What? Well, shoot. Okay, so I hope that I did not burn this. Now it looks a little amber to me, but my candy thermometer wasn't really working. I thought that you couldn't burn it, but it looks a little dark. Yeah, it's like yellow. What the hell? Okay. It's turned yellow. That's a bummer. Okay, so I burnt the first batch and it did turn yellow. And then I put this one in a little too hot. So the second batch, which hopefully will fill at least the sides of my large gingerbread, I think it's clear. Who knows? Here you can see the difference between the burnt windows and the non-burnt windows, and it will turn out crystal clear if you don't burn your Isomalt. If you do, it turns this like amber color, which can be lovely, but here's the thing. The reason that you are using the Isomalt is so that it doesn't turn amber. You can do this with sugar. So if you're going for that like amber, you don't mind that amber color, just use sugar. It's so much cheaper. Don't go for the Isomalt. And if you do use Isomalt, I would recommend getting a torch, which if I were going to do the Isomalt thing again this year, I kind of think I'm not going to. I have a different idea. But if you are going to do that, you want like a liquid torch to kind of make it nice and glossy and clear. Otherwise, it might have like a frosted effect when you peel it up from the parchment paper. This year, I think I'm just going to order the gelatin sheets. They have gelatin sheets that kind of have this diamond pattern that look like Tudor house windows. So I don't know why I didn't do that last year. I was well aware of it, and I think sometimes I just have these big expectations for myself, and I'm like, no, I have to do proper windows, which it's all candy, it's all edible. I don't know why I think I'm some kind of hero for doing Isomalt windows. Anyway, if you want to dive into that sugar, molten sugar, Isomalt world, be my guest, but take those tips with you. Okay, and here is my last tip. This is going to be very painful to watch. It's painful for me to watch, quite honestly. And I've muted this clip because there's a lot of profanities that happen. But Brooke of 2020 thinks that she can glue this together, again, taking information from when she was a kid and applying it now. She thinks she's going to glue it together with royal icing. And the thing is, it's not even the thick royal icing either. It's the flood consistency, which is very watery, and it's just, look, oh no. This hurts my heart. That side piece really took a beating and everything just kind of got flattened out. But because the garland was so, it was like the shape was so wonky anyway, I just kind of put more on top and it was fine. It was fine. It was just a traumatic incident when it happened. I don't have footage of this, but what I ended up doing was boiling sugar to like that candy crack stage. Don't burn it. I burned mine, so that's like another mistake that I did that you don't have to do. Don't burn it. Just dip it into your molten sugar and put the ends together, and it will set really quickly, and it's just the best way to do it. If you burn your sugar, when you go to put first of all, it tastes awful. So if you eat any of that part. It's not good. But when you go to put the icing around the edges, anywhere that has that burnt sugar, it will seep through and it will look like somebody peed on the snow on your gingerbread house. So be careful, make sure that you don't burn your sugar. And if you want to use royal icing when you do this, instead of molten sugar, make sure that it is a liner consistency, so like a very thick royal icing. And I would maybe create some kind of like, put some blocks up on each side so that it's like held together until it sets, because I don't know why I expected two pieces to just stand up on their own, but I did. And now I won't ever again. You can kind of see like these frosted windows. That also happened. It like recrystallized because there was humidity in my kitchen. I think I covered these overnight and then maybe that led to the humidity, but that's also a thing that happens with Isomalt, so kind of don't recommend. All in all, I think not too bad for her first time doing gingerbread, right? But this year I feel so much more knowledgeable. I have so much more experience, and I am going to make something so epic, and I want you to vote. Okay, I have 3. Okay, here are the options. It's option 1, which was my first idea. The Overlook Hotel from The Shining. I mean, and I want to do the blood coming out of the elevators, and I kind of think it would be so amazing. Option 2, this is also one of my favorite movies, the McAllister house from Home Alone. Can you imagine a gingerbread McAllister house? Okay, that's option 2, which I kind of feel like is going to probably be very popular because everybody loves Home Alone at Christmas. Option 3, Kate Winslet's cottage from The Holiday. I mean, it's just, that's like a classic ginger. That's just kind of I might do that in addition to one of the other 2. If it's the Overlook Hotel, it might be that might just be all I'm doing for the next 2 months. You guys let me know in the comments which one you would like to see me build the most, which one you would want a template for and you would like to do yourselves. And I will let you know which one wins very soon. I am planning to start this project pretty early. I'm probably going to do it in November so that it's like ready to share by December. Until next time, stay well, and I will see you soon.